I'm Ben Schwartz. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to answer a question from Janelle in Havertown, Pennsylvania. Janelle wrote in, she said that she went to the Philadelphia Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Super Bowl party after the Super Bowl, and she was shocked because in the area where she was, people were acting crazy. So she wanted to know if something bad happened and she got injured while she was out on the street in Philadelphia after the Super Bowl win, after the Eagles won, what would the law say about her right to recover for her injuries? What would the law say about her right to have a lawsuit claim for money damages for her injuries? She said, essentially, I could have been killed with all the mayhem that was going on where I was located. And so I personally did not go to Philadelphia on the night of the Super Bowl. I didn't go for the parade, for the victory parade this week either. But I went on the internet to see what kind of stuff I could see, and I found a New York Post article called Fires, Mayhem, Insane Trust Falls in Philly After Super Bowl Win. I just want to show you on my office computer what I'm talking about. This is a video that is from the New York Post, and it actually has the credit Devontae Cordero via Storyful. It gives him the credit for shooting the video, but I'm going to play it for you. People climbing up telephone poles, trying to make the light come down. This is Broad Street in Philadelphia. People on top of the Ritz-Carlton taking trust falls off the roof. Anyways, you get the picture. If you want to see some more of that crazy stuff, just Google what I just said. Google the article from the New York Post and you'll see what I'm talking about. But basically, here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about inadequate security. If you're a citizen, you're peaceful, you're an innocent person, you're not looking for trouble, you're not causing mayhem or craziness, and you're going to a business or you're going to an event where it's a business related event. Let's say you're going to a party or you're going to a show, right? If you're invited to go there to spend money on alcohol, to spend money on food, to do whatever, then the company, the business that is running the show may have an obligation to provide you with security and to prevent craziness and mayhem from happening. And so what I want to talk about today is the concept of adequate security or inadequate security, because a lot of people contact my law firm with situations where they've been injured, a family member has been killed, it's at a party, it's at an event, it's at a bar, it's in a restaurant, it's in some sort of business. And so I think it's good to just sort of give people out there who might be viewing this video a brief description of what I'm talking about and what type of law applies in this situation. And I want to tell you that if you're the business owner and you've got patrons coming, you owe patrons an obligation to act reasonably to protect them from foreseeable risks of harm. Now, I want to give you some examples because that sounds a little bit like legal gobbledygook, but it really isn't. And I want to give you some examples so that if you're watching this video and maybe you're a patron in a bar, maybe you're a patron in a restaurant or a hospital, or a patient in a doctor's office or what have you, or maybe you're a business owner or an event planner, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Imagine that you are having a baby. You go to the hospital, you give birth, your baby is born, you're in love with the baby, you're exhausted, you go to sleep, and the baby goes to sleep as well. When you wake up, the baby's not there because the hospital didn't have any security. There were no security measures and some crazy person came in and kidnapped your child. That would be a lawsuit against the hospital. This type of thing does happen. It's rare, but crazy stuff happens, and there's a lot of crazy people out there. Why they would steal a baby, I don't know, but I guarantee you it's happened numerous times. The hospital has an obligation to provide security for the newborns. The hospital needs to take steps because it's foreseeable that some nut job is going to try to steal a baby. So the hospital has a legal obligation to provide security personnel, security officers, take measures like put a band on the baby's ankle that matches up, with the band on the mother's bracelet, and that way they can keep the mother and the baby matched and mothers don't take home the wrong baby. But that would be if the hospital didn't provide security, if the hospital didn't do anything to prevent that from happening, then the mother whose baby got kidnapped would have the right to sue the hospital for inadequate security or negligent security. Here's another example. Let's say you work in a factory. One of your coworkers is a little bit mentally deranged. He's a problem employee, and so the people that run the factory decide that they're going to fire him. They call him in one day and they tell him, your job performance stinks, you're fired, get out of here. He says, well, I'm going to come back and I'm going to bring my gun and I'll show you who's boss. The factory owners, the factory managers don't do anything. That nut job comes back with a gun and starts shooting up the place. The people who get shot, the families of the people who get shot, have a lawsuit against the nut job who brought the gun in the premises, but they also have a lawsuit against the factory owners and the factory managers who knew that he might come back with a gun and didn't take any steps to secure the premises, didn't take any steps to have security, to have police on premises, to have private security officers on premises. That is a good example of negligent security or inadequate security. But these examples come up all the time. I'll give you another example. Let's say that you go to a show in a bar or a concert venue, and the concert venue is in the bad part of town, but they need a lot of space to have a concert venue, so they go somewhere where the rent is cheap. The problem with this concert venue is that the owners of the concert venue, the owners of this bar, know that there tends to be gang activity inside their bar on Saturday nights and Friday nights, and they don't hire security personnel, or they don't hire enough security personnel. And while you're there at this show, there's gang activity and there's gunshots and you end up getting shot. You're going to have the right to sue the people that shot you, the criminals that shot you, but you're also going to have the right to sue the bar owner who knew there was going to be likely to be criminal activity in his bar, and he didn't hire off-duty police, or he didn't hire enough security personnel to prevent this from happening, or didn't put up metal detectors to stop people from bringing in firearms. So this is another example of an inadequate security case. We get calls for these cases all the time. I think it's good, if you're out there in the community, I think it's good to know that this is a thing. It's good to sort of wrap your head around this, because you'll know it when you see it oftentimes. It's just good to be able to put a label on it so that you can articulate what it is that you see. And if you're the victim of it, it's good to be able to articulate it so that you can find the right attorney for your negligent security case in the jurisdiction where the incident occurred or where the injury occurred. Anyways, going back to the question was, if I'm in Philadelphia and these hooligans on the street, bring down the light post and it lands on my head and it injures me, do I have a right to sue? And then I would say, the question is, are you at an event? Who was in charge of bringing the people to the event? Who was in charge of organizing the event? Is there a person or a corporation or a company that organized this? Did you pay to be there? Should they have anticipated that there would be hooliganism and other crazy activity going on that could hurt somebody? Should they have anticipated it and taken steps to bring in security personnel? Or was it just out on the street and it happened spontaneously? These are the questions that need to be asked. If this happened to you in Philadelphia, I'm not a Pennsylvania attorney, but we do have Pennsylvania attorneys on staff in the law firm who could give you a free consultation if you were actually injured in something like this. But these are the things that come up. These are the questions that are going to come up in this type of case. I'm attorney Ben Schwartz. This has been another episode of 10 with Ben. Thanks for sticking with me while we talked about negligent security or inadequate security cases. I hope that you learned something or thought about something new that maybe you've never thought about before. If you have questions for me, send me an email. My email address is mail@benschwartz.com. Thanks for watching.